Alex the Car Doctor. Welcome back to my top 5 series on vehicles that I tell you the top 5 problems with from a mechanic's standpoint. In case you're planning on buying one or already have one, you kind of know what to expect. Now, I am outside today enjoying this beautiful Georgia weather. So if you hear noise, airplanes, I'm sorry about that. Just bear with me because I need my vitamins from the sun. Wow, look how nice she is. Hey, but unfortunately, we're not here for that. You have other channels out there talk about how they drive and how they feel. I'm here to talk about what's going to keep you on the road and how to maintain your vehicle. So let's move under the hood and let's jump right into this thing. This is a 09 Nissan Murano, second generation. Now, this generation goes from 09 through 14, and this also applies for the Nissan Maximums as well. Same drivetrain. Under the hood of this Nissan Murano is their famous 3.5 V6 engine. Now, dealing with repair costs, I want to talk about parts for a moment. Dealing with parts, it's not super high like your European vehicles, and it's not affordable like your domestic vehicles. So we're somewhere in the middle. What's really going to hit your wallet is labor costs. And if you look in here, you can see everything is kind of tight. So anytime it's tight like that, it shoots up labor. For example, the intake manifold will have to be removed to get to the rear plugs. The alternator is buried deep. You can't even see it, versus on some of your other vehicles, the alternator is like right here, very accessible. So just a quick little example. I had to switch locations because I didn't want the cars to keep interrupting us, and I want you guys to be able to hear me. But guys, don't let what I mentioned earlier scare you. Surprisingly, I don't see too many of these vehicles in my shop. That includes the Maximums. Only time I see them in my shop is for general maintenance, and what I mean by that is alternators, valve cover gaskets, things like that, and which have to be done on any vehicle. Truth be told, guys, I had to dig deep to find 5 issues out of this vehicle. I just don't see too many of them, so I am going to be including some maintenance items in here. Let's jump in right into number 1. CVT transmissions. They're found in most of all your newer Nissan vehicles, and they've been known to be very problematic. In times past, we only had 2 known transmissions. Of course, we had CVT transmissions, but they weren't very known. And the ones we know of is the automatic and the manual. Now everybody is using the CVT transmissions, which stands for constant variable transmission. You may be asking, why are they using it if it's so crap in the Nissans? Well, it's actually a good design, really. It keeps the engine in its happy place. Every engine have a happy place, meaning the RPM, that thing that says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If your engine go, that stands for revs per minute. And it's like engine counter. I kind of got off topic, but it has a happy place in somewhere around that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 area. Now, the transmission is located right under all this plastic stuff, and they don't just go out on their own. Normally, it's because of bad maintenance and bad driving habits. Bad maintenance, I guess you could say people putting automatic transmission in a CVT, automatic transmission fluid in a CVT transmission. This is CVT transmission fluid. It takes a special transmission fluid. It even says it on the stick, Nissan CVT transmission fluid. And I get a lot of people, they will start having problems, or I just need to add some fluid, and go pour automatic transmission fluid, and it just completely destroys the transmission. These transmissions don't like to be dogged out. Like, I know most of us Atlanta drivers are heavy-footed. It tears them up. The V6 versions of this transmission holds up a lot better than the Altimas. The Altima is just like, oh my gosh, I see them fail all the time, versus the V6 version. Best way to maintain that, though, is to drive normal. I'm about to say drive like you got some sense, because I know I don't drive like I got some sense sometimes. We're not gonna talk about that. Don't tell wifey. Drive normal, good people. Do not be out hot dogging this thing, even though it's very tempting, because it has some nice power. And maintain it. I recommend changing the transmission fluid at least every 25 to every 30,000 miles. On to number 2, vacuum leaks. I get a lot of these vehicles in for vacuum leak concerns. Now, vacuum leaks is like throw a system 2 lean code. I can't remember the code off the top of my head. Somebody write down in the comments system 2 lean code on a Nissan Murano. Mainly the reason you get system 2 lean codes on these vehicles is it's not expensive to fix, but you have these little hoses. Right now you can see this one starting to dry rot and crack up. These are crack and cause air leaks, causing system 2 lean codes. And I see this crankcase vent tube back here that always collapse and kind of get a hole in it. That's one of the main ones I see, the crankcase vent. That's it for number 2. On to number 3, valve cover gaskets. On a normal vehicle, it's not very problematic. It's a regular maintenance item, but on this particular vehicle, it's problematic. As you can see, the valve cover gasket, the front one is very accessible. It's right here. The rear one, you have to take off the intake manifold, and then it's buried back there. So it's kind of expensive to get, repaired. Upward of $500-600, just off the top of my head. I may be totally wrong, but don't hold me to it. And if you're not paying attention, and if you neglect to change this valve cover gasket, it can cause other issues. You have these spark plug wells. So you have these spark plug tube seals. They'll start leaking, and they will drain oil down in the spark plug tubes, causing misfires. If you ignore that, you'll burn up your catalytic converters. If you continue to ignore that, the gasket will start leaking, drip down on your alternator. It'll burn up your alternator. Water and electricity don't mix. I say liquid and electricity because it's oil. Liquid and electricity don't mix. Look, I'm dropping stuff. Don't know where that went, but it'll be all right. Another reason they're problematic, a lot of mechanics don't know this out here, but this valve cover is not serviceable. I'm gonna explain why. Yes, you can easily take off the gasket here. As you can see, this is a vehicle I did recently, probably from another shop that didn't know that you cannot change out these tube seals. See, this rubber, you can catch it with your finger when it's new and when it's still rubberish, rubber-like. When rubber get old, it becomes hard like plastic. This cannot seal. On other vehicles, they make these tube seals where they just push out. On Nissan, they thought it would be a good idea to have this plastic cover that literally is glued to the valve cover, and you can't not take this tube seal out without peeling up this cover. Yes, I have done it one time, but it's not recommended. You can really destroy some stuff. Just not recommended. Delta was flying by. Guys, I'm right by the airport in Atlanta, so sorry about that. Like I was saying, you have to change out the whole valve cover. So if your valve cover gaskets is leaking, go ahead and prepare to buy 2 valve covers. That's why it's kind of pricey, because you have to buy the whole valve cover. Nissan. Let's move on to number 4 before I get too mad. I had to bring you in the shop for number 4. Number 4 is going to be your canister vent valve. Like I said, this applies to the maximum as well, but on the maximum it's a little bit harder to get to, but we're talking about the Murano today. This is your canister vent valve right here. They will go out and cause a check engine light code with the evap system. You may have a hard time putting gas in your vehicle if this particular part fail. It also can get smacked by road debris. It's in a bad spot, in my opinion. As you can see, this is an all-wheel drive vehicle, and some people may think it's a good idea to take this thing off-road, and this can get smacked by a rock, crushing the whole canister. On to number 5. The transfer case. I've seen where the transfer case will actually fail on these. The transfer case is the part that makes this all-wheel drive. As you can see, this is a front-wheel drive based vehicle, but it has a transfer case stuffed back up in here, and this is the drive shaft that's coming out of it, that's going to the rear differential. And the transfer case would just break up in the inside for whatever reason, and Speaking of all-wheel drive, I don't even know why this is all-wheel drive, because I took this vehicle on my little off-road test course and I got stuck. So if you're planning on taking this mudding or four-wheeling, don't do that. It's just only good for, like, I don't know, rain. But anywho, guys, that wraps up the 5 problems that I see in my shop. I can't speak what everybody else see. I meant to say I can't speak for everybody else. Sometimes I get my words mixed up, guys. You know how I am. But does this Nissan Murano get my stamp of approval? Yes, I'll give it the big thumbs up. I will own one. I'll put my daughter in this thing. Guys, these are the issues that I see with this vehicle. You know, so this is not all the issues. So if you own a Nissan Murano out there, drop down in the comments. Let me know the problems you're having with it. All right, that's it for this one. If you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you support Alex the Car Doctor by doing so now. Remember, I'm here for you guys and all your automotive needs. Alex the Car Doctor out.